First off, from roughly 40 hours ago, we finally got our eyes on RV2, or as it is titled here in the West, Rev 2 Vertex, not Vortex. This is a rival-based, story-driven driving sim, as stated by developers, though set in the hills of Hong Kong. Now, it's not a racing game necessarily, but instead a battle, or like I mentioned, rival or skill-based driving game. Check it out. Game set to be released for PCs only on Steam and the Epic Games Store as well a little later, due out December 15 this year. At number 2, we've got Need for Speed Unbound. EA Games actually just came out with a new trailer for it, detailing the different editions of it and some more, of course, in-game content. Now, in case you are new here, this is the 25th game in the series of Need for Speed games, and now with partnership with Studio Criterion, that's some true veterans when it comes to racing games. Originally slated for release in September this year, Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, on the other hand, is now set to release for PCs, Switch, and the next generation of consoles only, early to mid next year. This is in case you are unfamiliar with an open-world drive and life sim, and a series of games that go back to more than 25 years ago. Now, taking place in Hong Kong, actually built at a one-on-one scale of the city itself. And number 4, well, if you're into some good old arcade-esque race, Car Wreck Street is probably the one game you should keep an eye out for, because it is mainly revolving around racing in the night and in the streets, then also set in open world through multiple maps. Check it out. Car Wreck Street is visually pretty good, especially for a mobile game, because it is also a mobile game. It's actually coming from a very old line of games in its very good series and set to be released December 15 for PCs, later on for other consoles as well.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is O, H to the OV. I used to move snowflakes by the OC.
And number 5, we've got the old Turn 10 Studios' latest yet biggest racing game today, Forza Motorsport 2023, or, well, essentially 8. A game that was first announced in 2020 and with only a cinematic. See, Forza Motorsport we now know is going to be just another decent racing experience with an even deeper customization options, some better multiplayer options, more quality of life improvements, and a lot more. Of course, as always, a Microsoft exclusive. Check it out, games set to be released early to mid next year.
I done came through the block, but I ain't invent the game. Still the rivals in my veins. Only God can check me. Only God can check me. So I'm gone.
Pacific Drive from roughly a month ago at number 6 is, well, first off, just to get this part over with, not a racing game one bit. Instead, this is a run-based first-person driving survival game. You will know in a second. I mean, the trailer here describes it perfectly. All you really need to know is that the game is releasing for PCs and the PlayStation 5 only sometime next year.
Locations impacted include sectors Delta and Echo.
THQ Nordic also just came out with another trailer on Stunfest World Tour. Guess you did miss out at the new THQ Nordic Digital Showcase lately. Stunfest is a pretty decent mix between racing and extreme sports games, and mainly an elimination-based competitor. It's a lot like Burnout actually, Trackmania, and even a little bit of Monster Truck fun thrown in for good measure. Check it out, game set to be released for PCs only sometime next year.
Well, Bill, it's like you say. Random bits and pieces of racetracks, along with all different kinds of items, have been emerging all over the county. And, wait, I'm just getting word that these pieces now seem to be rising into the air, forming an ever-expanding aerial racetrack and eclipsing the sky above Sledgehammer. Bill, I've never seen anything like this. You have to wonder, who is behind this and where does it end?
Shadows.
Coming up behind that, we've got Recreation, another open world racing game, technically franchise, from some of the old veterans of games who previously worked on Burnout and also Need for Speed. The game was also once again announced at the recent THQ Nordic Showcase, where it was described as an arcade racing game set in a 400 square kilometers world. Check it out, this one's coming to PCs and all consoles as well by the end of 2023. Trackmania just got itself a new trailer, some sort of new title called Trackmania Console and Clouds, and it is now set to be released once again for PCs, obviously the cloud service and also the consoles too, with crossplay and cross-progression support, and it's going to be released early to mid next year. This is technically a rebooted Trackmania that came out a couple of years ago for PCs exclusively, and now coming over to consoles and the cloud service as well, like I mentioned. Check it out. If you do like roller coasters more than cars, this is definitely the one for you.
Introducing the new era of WRC.
Moving on from earlier May this year, we've got Rick Generations. Well, once again, I don't really think there's much to talk about here except that this is one of the oldest racing game franchises of all time. Here's a new trailer. All you really need to know about the game you could really see in it: the additions, new graphics, the gameplay improvements. WRC Generations releases November 3 this year for PCs, Switch, and both generation of consoles as well.
Powertrain, delivering up to 100 horsepower of extra power. Raise peak performances to a whole new level. Get ready to turbocharge your way through WRC.
Moving on, we have Vigor Roads. Now, frankly, this is not a racing game. Instead, it is an action MMO post-apocalyptic driving game, in which you see everybody is now a mechanic and they're basically fighting for their life and what comes around with the cars, well, battle cars. It's like what you'd get by mixing the old Vigilance games with some good old Mad Max and a little bit of Burnout. Cool stuff. Except it's been in development since 2016, but hopefully releasing if not later this year, early to mid next month. Disney's Speedstorm, on the other hand, will just has been confirmed to be released within 2022, possibly around holidays. This is a Disney Pixar character-based arcade racer at its core that's been in the making since, well, I believe early last year. In some ways it's pretty similar to Trackmania, albeit inspired by lots of other hits like Cartwright Drift and of course Crash games. Just take a look, games set to be released for literally every single console there is as well.
1, go!
Sitting on both the Google Play and the App Store since only yesterday for $3 and ratings up to the roof. At number 14 we've got Rush Rally 3. Well, in case you are new to it, this is a lifestyle rally driving game created by just one person, in which you take on lots of challenging rallies and rallycross style routes, hill climbs across 11 different countries with over 20 different cars as well. Check it out. Game is now releasing for PCs, on Steam and the Nintendo Switch as well later today. And last but not least, we've got Cartwright Drift, or technically just a global test version of it by Nixon, one of the greatest, biggest mobile game developers, to be specific, console mobile ports of 2022. And for those of you who did miss it, it is a competitive online racing game, one that actually has a single player campaign too, and with a little bit of RPG elements, like it's a little bit level based. Check it out. The full game is set to be coming out by the end of the year for PCs and consoles first.
I'll get you one way or another. I'm gonna give you the slip over here or another. I'm gonna lose ya, I'll trick ya,